Can having a hysterectomy help your PMDD symptoms? Today, I have someone with real lived experience of having premenstrual dysphoric disorder, ADHD, and adenomyosis. We're going to talk about how getting an operation can change your symptoms and what led to this really interesting story that Lauren is about to share. A quick disclaimer, this is not medical advice. Everyone's experience is different, and what Lauren shares today is her own experience.
Welcome to the What's Eating You podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Giorgio, and I'm a clinical psychologist.
Now, Lauren is the owner of the Women's Fitness Academy, and my God, you've had such a big year. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so I never thought I would be having a hysterectomy at 37, and I never thought I would even ever have one. I never even considered it, but I had been living with a few, I guess, health issues for the last few years or past few years. And yeah, PMDD was one of the things that I just have lived with for 5 or so years or more since being diagnosed and knowing what those symptoms were, which were the week before my period, I would be, I guess, completely go into some sort of like depressive state. I would be just really low mood, disassociate. It was really difficult to be motivated. And it was just a really horrible time. And I don't know how or why I lived with it for so long, but I just didn't know why it was happening or how I could make it better. And I think, PMDD is one of those things that it's like, oh, you've got this thing and you just have to deal with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for anyone wondering, we'll just tell you what it is. PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, it's a mental health condition, which is so interesting because it's actually physical as well. And it's when you experience symptoms about a week before your period, where you're irritable, you feel tension, agitation, there is an increased uptake of difficulties with your partner or arguments. People say, oh, I feel like leaving my partner at this time of the month. You can have suicidal ideations, but then there's also physical symptoms as well, like PMS on steroids, basically. And usually they'll say, you can manage your hormones, you can go on antidepressants, you can prepare for PMDD every month. But people have often said, does removing
is there something that you can actually do? And I guess to answer the question, it's no, technically a hysterectomy doesn't fix or help PMDD. Depends on what kind of hysterectomy, because you can,
explain what it is?
Yeah.
So even I was confused. I'm like, do they take the tubes, do they take the ovaries? What actually goes?
So there's different kinds. You can get a full hysterectomy, and that's removing the uterus, fallopian tubes, the ovaries, cervix. And so the other one is just a hysterectomy with keeping the ovaries. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I still have my ovaries. So technically I'm still ovulating. I still get the estrogen, I get the hormone fluctuations.
So the ovaries release?
Yes, so I still ovulate. I still release an egg. I still get estrogen, progesterone. I still get the hormones, the hormones the same as what I would if I still had my uterus. The difference is the reason I got my uterus removed wasn't for PMDD. It's just been a weird side effect that, well, not weird, it's been a side effect of that I have felt better with my PMDD. But that's because I had fibroids, or one massive fibroid.
It was huge. You showed me a picture last night. I can't get it out of my mind.
Yes.
It was like, you had this in your tummy, in your...
So and who knows how long I've lived with this, and I think it's one of those things, what was first, the chicken or the egg? And so I had some scans done after having some issues, pelvic health issues and constipation and prolapse and things like that, and really worsening PMS, just really bad. Every month it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Heavier periods, more painful periods. Over the last 6 months or so, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm thinking, surely this isn't perimenopause, like this is not normal. And so scans showed that I had a massive fibroid.
How big?
It was 15 centimetres.
That's like half a ruler.
It was so big that I had to have a full open abdominal surgery. They couldn't do keyhole surgery. It was bigger than what a baby's head would be.
And was it like solid? Was it like...
They're actually not that heavy, but the issue with it was pushing on my like other organs and things. It was pushing on my kidneys, so that was causing issues with my kidneys. It was issues with my bowels and everything, so it was pushing on everything. It was taking up the whole space of my pelvis pretty much.
Wow.
So it's not, they also found adenomyosis. So adenomyosis is like endometriosis, but it's in the wall of the uterus. So it's endometrial tissue growing in the wall of the uterus. So that was also growing in there. But the chicken or the egg thing, what actually caused it is estrogen dominance.
Right.
So that is what sort of caused all these issues. But once they start, the fibroid also produces estrogen. So I've got too much estrogen, and then I've got this fibroid growing that's also like producing estrogen. But what that does is, it's not just about estrogen, but what it does is it puts off the balance of progesterone. And when you don't have enough progesterone, all your health markers just go like whack. So inflammation was incredible. I've got photos and I look back and I think, wow, like my face, everything's so puffy, and I just was really uncomfortable all the time, really uncomfortable. I couldn't wear anything tight. Everything was just like, yeah, really uncomfortable, really unwell.
Did you ever blame yourself? Did you ever think, oh, maybe I'm not eating well enough?
Yeah.
Do you eat a large amount of food in a short period of time and feel a loss of control? Maybe you make yourself sick after you binge eat. If this is you, you're not alone. I'm a clinical psychologist who went through a 9-year eating disorder, and I know how to get to the other side of food freedom. If you're ready to ditch the dieting mentality, discover food freedom, and find confidence in yourself and your body, click the free eating evaluation call. The link is below.
I'm not exercising, maybe I'm not drinking enough water.
Yeah, so the thing is, lifestyle does play a massive factor in all of it. Estrogen dominance, all of the things. Lifestyle's huge. But once the ball is rolling and I've got this fibroid growing and I've got the estrogen dominance, it continues to become harder and harder and harder and harder to get a hold or manage those factors, the lifestyle factors, because that causes fatigue. My thyroid then dropped. I had hypothyroidism from it. So low thyroid, low iron, inflammation, PMDD symptoms going through the roof.
Oh my God.
And you think, oh, just exercise more and eat better. And you think, yeah, that on paper, that sounds great. That would probably help. But when you're going through that and you're so inflamed, you're so in pain, you
can't go to the toilet properly. Keep talking.
And yeah, I think it's hard to get people to understand it unless you've lived through that. But premenstrual dysphoric disorder plus the pain of adenomyosis and the pain of the fibroid and everything just together. I was lucky to leave the house most days, let alone go to the gym and go for a walk or something like that.
God.
And you think, a walk would probably help because it helps with. So when you've got estrogen dominance, that's just going to keep getting worse as things progress. I've got the growing fibroid. It also causes more like weight gain and stuff like that. And that body fat also produces estrogen. So it's just like stack.
Okay.
And then, you think, just start going for more walks, start eating healthier and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, you just feel like you're fighting a losing battle, like you're pushing up a hill. And it's so hard. And every day or every month, it just gets a little bit harder. And it just gets a little bit harder, a little bit harder, and a little bit harder. And then it's just like, it's so hard. And I don't know how I would have gotten out of that if I didn't have the surgery.
So do they have to find the fibroid with a CAT scan, or how did they?
So I had an ultrasound because what happened first was I had a prolapse.
So when you're
inside, the floor like out fails. It didn't come out, but it was like I could feel my insides through my vagina.
Oh my God.
So the pelvic floor prolapsed. And I thought it's something I've done. I should have done more pelvic floor exercises, thinking I'll just go to the physio and I'll do some more pelvic floor exercises and I'll be able to fix it. But when I got the scan, so I got a transvaginal ultrasound where they stick it up there and have a look around. The technician was like feeling around. She was pushing and like pushing the thing around. She was like, And I was like, oh God. And that was really uncomfortable because she's pushing. and pulling around in there, and that was like, oh, this is great. And she's like, I can't find your right ovary.
Really?
And at first I was like, oh, it's probably fine. It's probably just, I don't know what I was thinking of, but I'm just like, it's fine, don't think about it. And she's like, oh, have you got much on today? I was like, I guess not. And so they put me straight in for a CT scan. So I stayed there till they closed. I got a CT scan, and then my doctor called me at 7:30 the next morning. So I was like, wow, okay, something serious. And the doctor said they suspect it's a fibroid, but obviously it can be very serious because if it was ovarian cancer or some sort of other tumour, because for those who don't know, fibroids are non-cancerous tumours. So it is a tumour, but it's non-cancerous 99% of the time. So they did say they think it's fibroid, but obviously urgency, because what if it's not, So yeah, straight in for a CT scan, and then I had to get an MRI as well to confirm everything and check kidneys and all that kind of stuff, because it was massive, and I had to have big surgery, stayed in hospital for about 5 nights. I had to have kidney stents, the fibroid removal, which was an open abdominal surgery, like a C-section scar, but a little bit bigger. And I also had to have internal surgery in the vagina to fix the prolapse. So it was like kind of like 3 surgeries in one.
All in one. And this is all while you had work going on.
Oh, yeah.
You had so much happening in your life.
Kids. Well, luckily my husband was able to take some time off work for like carer's leave type of thing. So he was my carer for 6 weeks.
Less.
So
6 weeks?
Yes, I had to have 6 weeks off.
And you weren't able to exercise?
No, because of the so you can slowly build up exercise, but because of the prolapse surgery, I had to really slowly move back into movement. And so that was 3 months ago, and crazy, obviously surgery and the anesthetic and everything makes you feel rubbish for a few days, probably like a week or 2. But after that, I felt so much better. I felt better than I'd felt.
What did you notice?
I probably felt better than I'd felt in over a year.
Wow.
And that was only like a week or 2 after surgery. The first thing I noticed was, obviously because I was in pain from having big cuts and stitches and stuff, the pain was fine. Like the pain, it is what it is. You've had surgery. But what I was most surprised about was my mind, the cognitive clarity.
Really?
Because the inflammation and so this fibroid that was growing inside me was just like this storm of hormone or inflammatory, just going at war with my body.
It was its own entity.
Yeah. And even the doctor, the surgeon, when she came to see me afterwards, she was it was very impressive. She said, I opened you up and there was this big thing, and then your little uterus was there and the thing was massive behind it. It was actually quite impressive.
Oh my God.
But with the fibroid was growing outside of my uterus, which a lot of the time they grow inside the uterus, and that's what a lot of women who get them will notice a lot of extra bleeding and stuff, maybe halfway through their cycle or things like that. But I didn't have that because it wasn't inside my uterus. So I didn't really have many actual period changes. It was just more painful and maybe a little bit heavier, just gradually, but it wasn't anything that I thought was alarming. I just, that's normal.
Wait, so now that you don't have a uterus, do you still have periods?
No. So I had options where if I wanted to have more children, which I'm blessed to have 2 beautiful children, and I didn't want it. And I didn't want it anymore. But there was an option that they could try and keep my uterus and take the fibroid out, which is called a myectomy. But she said that there's a high chance of another one growing back or more growing back, because if you're prone to getting them, then they will probably grow back. So I didn't want that to happen. So I made the choice to have the uterus removed, and they can also either keep the cervix or take the cervix out and stitch up a cuff where the cervix is, or they can keep the cervix. And she said,
wait, the cervix is where?
So you have the vagina, and then at the top of the vagina is your cervix, which is the circle thing that opens when you give birth.
Yep.
So that's the little thing that's closed up at the top. That is the top of your vagina. But if I kept that, then there's a risk of cervical cancer or things like that down the line. So I said, what's the harm in taking that out? She said it's actually a good option. So I got the cervix removed and got the cuff like stitched up at the top. And another option is to keep the ovaries, which means you don't go straight into menopause, which I was, I guess most concerned about. I didn't want to go straight into so many changes and
you've
that
been
as
through a
well.
lot already.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So I got to keep my ovaries, and because they were fine, it was the fibroid was what was, I guess, causing all the issues. My ovaries were still okay. And so, the uterus and fallopian tubes and cervix and the fibroid were removed, and the ovaries were kept.
And you feel so much better.
Yes.
My God.
Yeah.
So someone might be thinking, oh my gosh, how do I even know if I've got a fibroid? Were there times you had symptoms and just ignored them, or what sort of red flags or signs should someone look out for and take seriously? Because women just pass so much off. Oh, it's my cycle.
Yeah.
Because I didn't exercise, because I had gluten.
Yeah, it's one of those things, because a lot of the symptoms can be so similar to
Even constipation. Everyone has.
Yeah. And because I've had children, and they just think, oh, fix your gut, have
Health.
some fibre. And I just thought I needed more fibre.
No, you had a fibroid.
Yes. But so many of the symptoms that we go through aren't normal, and we just sort of brush them off like, oh, maybe I could eat better, or maybe I could exercise better, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, but even if you did all the things right, you still might feel that way. And so it's so hard to know if you have them or not, but they're so common. I think 75% of women will have them by the time, in their lifetime.
Symptoms shouldn't people brush off or ignore? If
any changes in your menstrual cycle that I guess are noticeable, every now and again things can be different, or heavier or lighter, depending on stress and stuff like that, or diet, traveling, sickness. But if you have more pain, heavier bleeding, and it keeps getting worse, or it's like not getting better, then it's definitely something to get checked out. If you have bleeding mid-cycle, any pain isn't normal. Like, we actually shouldn't have period pain. And I think that's wild. Like, having really painful periods isn't normal. And
so common,
it's a sign that there might be something going on. And I had no idea I had adenomyosis.
Yeah, a friend of mine had painful periods for years and years and years and years, and only recently found out.
Yeah.
And she's like late 40s.
Yeah. And that's the thing, the doctors, I guess, if it's not bad enough that if it's not bad enough that it's affecting your quality of life, they won't bother to push for scans or anything like that. So you really have to push yourself. You have to push them. You have to push for scans. You have to push for more tests, because it could just gradually, for me, it wasn't a really quick noticeable change. It was a very small, gradual, over 12 months of just getting slightly worse every month, a little bit worse, until this year. I just went downhill so fast because it got into a point where it tipped over, and it was so big, and the hormones were so out of whack that it was really bad. So it can be really gradual, slight, not very noticeable changes, but they can lead to something really bad. So
They say first you get tickled by a feather, and then you ignore it, you get a brick, and then the truck.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so it wasn't the hysterectomy itself that improved my PMDD, and
So what was it?
Like, it's weird because I'm like, do I have PMDD still? But
do you have
technically I should, because I have the ovaries still and I still get the hormone fluctuations. And what PMDD, like, why it happens is we're sensitive to those hormone fluctuations. So it makes us more sensitive to that estrogen drop and the progesterone changes and things like that before your period. But because of the fibroid and everything that was going on in the estrogen dominance, those hormone fluctuations were really dramatic, and that's what was making my PMDD so bad. So I don't feel like I have
Because you've
PMDD.
been free for 3 months
Yeah.
of the fibroid.
Yeah.
And PMDD, it has to happen at the same time every month for a period of time to meet the diagnosis. Do
Yeah.
you think you still meet that clinical criteria?
I feel like, is it in my head that I feel better and I'm going to feel worse? Like, I'm scared to say, I'm scared to like gaslight myself. I guess.
Yes.
Because I sort of always, I gaslight myself into thinking I'm fine. Am I gaslighting myself again? Do I feel fine?
Well, let's go through, let's actually go through the criteria, because I think people listening to this are like, do I have PMDD?
Yeah.
So in the majority of menstrual cycles, at least 5 symptoms must be present in the final week before the onset of bleeding, and it has to start to improve within a few days after onset, but you don't bleed anymore.
Yeah,
so how do you know?
Still, I guess, like, I still have the cycle where I ovulate once a month.
Yes, you just...
And I think I still get maybe like the week before I might have my period that I might feel a little more maybe irritable, maybe tired, but honestly, it's so unnoticeable that I don't feel like I can be categorized as PMDD anymore.
Well, it says at least one or more of the following must be present. Marked affective lability, so mood swings, sudden sadness, tearfulness, increased sensitivity to rejection.
Yeah.
2, marked irritability or anger. 3, marked depressed mood, feelings of hopelessness or self-deprecating thoughts. Marked anxiety or tension and or feelings of being keyed up or on edge. Do you have one or more of those?
It's funny because, like, I still remember the feeling of it and that feeling of dread, that feeling of like someone has just died feeling. And that feeling of dread, that feeling of hopelessness for no reason. That's like nothing's happened, but like that's how PMDD felt for me. It was like that week before my period, I'd just get this sudden drop and it was like someone's died. That feeling, it was horrible. I still remember it, but I don't feel that.
I don't feel like
that.
Yeah,
No.
okay.
Like it's crazy. Yeah, like.
Do you get decreased interest in usual activities, work, school or friends, also known as anhedonia?
No, like I don't know if I'm just like on a like feeling happy and positive, but yeah, I feel like I don't have that anymore.
Okay. Subjective difficulty in concentration.
I have ADHD, so that's all the time.
Yeah. Lethargy, easily fatigable or marked lack of energy.
No, but also I had an iron infusion like a few weeks or a couple months before my surgery. So I'm like, is that one of the reasons I felt like that as well? And because I've had an iron infusion, is that why I'm feeling better as well with the fatigue stuff?
Got it.
Not with the mental health stuff, but the fatigue stuff. I think iron had a massive
100%.
role in that.
And people with ADHD have low iron.
Yes,
Usually.
yes.
Marked change in appetite, overeating or specific food cravings.
Not like a
Not at that specific
PMS.
time.
No.
Hypersomnia or insomnia. Hypersomnia is oversleeping.
No.
No, you seem to sleep pretty fine
Yeah.
while we're here. A sense of being overwhelmed or out of control.
No, not more than normal.
No, you're doing normal. Physical symptoms such as breast tenderness or swelling or joint pain.
That's another one that's
or
massive.
bloating or weight gain.
So that is what I was getting so much of, and it was getting so much worse every month.
Which one?
Pain, breast tenderness. What else? I had some.
Do you wrote a list?
I was like,
It honestly
Trying to
sounds
remember
like
them.
even if you've got some of these symptoms, then-
histamine intolerance. So I would get very like itchy or sneezy or stuff like that. The histamine intolerance symptoms I would get before my period, like before I had the surgery, they kept getting worse and worse. Like I would have to take antihistamines. Yeah. So histamine intolerance is linked to estrogen dominance, which is linked to all of it. The migraines, the brain fog and the breast tenderness, like that stuff was getting worse and worse and worse.
do you have migraines now?
Nah.
That is unbelievable. And even if you have a few of
nausea.
these symptoms, they're not that bad.
Yeah. So the week before my period, I would get this sudden nausea, migraines, brain fog, breast tenderness. It was like, and then it's like, oh, you should exercise. What? I feel like I want to just cry and like curl up in bed. Like,
Women honestly push themselves so much, and there are things in your body that exercise and eating healthier is not going to fix.
and I almost like got like resentful at people when you see it. People were like, oh, no excuses. You can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. It's like, oh my God, like. Girlfriend, if I even get to the gym, if you see me at the gym, like I've fought some mental battles to get there and mental and physical battles, and I got there.
Yeah, no one knows what you're feeling or what you're
Yeah,
going through because
yeah.
it's all inside. Wow.
Yeah. And I remember feeling worried before my surgery, thinking, what if I don't feel better? And I'm so happy to say that I feel so much better.
Oh, it's honestly, it's such a game changer, and I'm so glad you do feel better. And if you're listening to this and you have something you've left, whether it's a pain or a niggle, get it checked out.
Yeah.
See your doctor, because like you said, there's so many layers, like iron and
Yeah. Oh, it's a big can of worms.
hormones and mental health and and all of that.
And it's just layers on top of each other. You don't know what's causing what, but they're all making each thing worse. So yeah, definitely push for more tests, scans, all the things. And yeah, reach out to us if you have any questions or need help.
Yes. And Lauren runs the Women's Fitness Academy. Tell us a little bit about the Women's Fitness
Yeah, so
Academy.
the funny thing is, like, I learn about, educate about all these things that women go through, and I still gaslit myself. And I always advocate and say, listen to your body and take care of yourself and listen to yourself and trust yourself. And I still,
Still didn't.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're not perfect. Now, Lauren, if anyone wants to see your content, because you make some really good content around this on Instagram, I'll link it below, but where can people find you?
Yeah, so Women's Fitness Academy _ and my page is Lauren Calvin _ LC. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll link it in the show notes because Lauren put some really amazing educational content. And if you like this episode, please take a screenshot, tag on Instagram, and send this to women in your life, women who need to hear this. Maybe they have PMDD, maybe they're struggling with their mental health or have a health issue. So please share the love, and of course leave a rating if you enjoy it. Lauren, thank you so much.
Thank
you are
you.
amazing, and I'm so glad you're feeling better.
Yay, me too. Thanks, Deb.
See you next time.
Bye.
Did you know by taking 2 seconds to leave a rating or a review, you help me get the podcast out to more listeners just like you who could really benefit from the information? I appreciate all your support and thank you for tuning in.